Hello, America, and to our friends around the world, greetings and welcome back. This video is going to focus on what's called lock ankle. That's a simple gesture. It's just crossing one ankle over the other. Most likely, everybody's done it in a relaxed position. Let's go ahead and cover what's on the element card. It's a variable factor of 1. It's a cultural prevalence that's universal, as well as universal amongst men, women, boys, and girls. It's considered a closed position, and we'll get into that here in a moment. There is no contradictory behavior, and of course, if it's the ankles, that means the ankles are part of your legs. The deception rating scale has it as 2. And here is the confirming and amplifying gestures that are connected to it, as well as at the 6 o'clock position on the lock ankle card are the initials B as in Bravo and D as in Delta. This stands for before answering and during an answer. So if you're having a conversation and somebody is already, you've already established their baseline where their, you know, feet are not crossed or, evenly spaced apart, non fidgeting. If this changes before an answer or during an answer, that's when you want to be aware of it. As stated before in other videos, this 5 o'clock corner represents the deception time frame. Hence the emphasis on before or during an answer. There's no microphysiological that's listed, and it's a very macro physiological expression of locking the ankles. You just do it. All right, so let's look at the amplifying gestures. All of the element cards that are connected are in white except for BR, which is blink rate. We've covered blink rate previously. And that is, your eyes, as it says on the card. When you're establishing a baseline, you want to ask non-invasive, generalized questions, things that are run of the mill without being off-putting or trite. For example, a trite expression is, yeah, some weather we're having. It's overused. It's obviously a filler for silence. Most people are uncomfortable with silence also. So you don't want to risk using a trite expression, nor do you want to have them feel with dread by leaving them in silence. Using silence is a powerful tool for negotiation, but if it's not used properly, it's going to make your subject, your conversation partner, more uncomfortable. What you want to focus on is developing techniques that make it a flow conversation. Something that is generalized but individualistic. If they have an article of clothing that you find intriguing, the color, the fabric, their shoes, an item of jewelry, without being condescending, without being insincere, if you can incorporate that into the conversation, or something that an event that you have recently experienced, and it's something that majority of people are willing to accept without being bragging. Uh, Many of us have encountered the the braggart of, yeah, I was just out and, I did this and, I always do great. Yeah. Yeah. It's off-putting. So when you're establishing a baseline, you need to find a familiar tone that is going to work. In the future, I might go into more details as to sample conversations. One thing to keep in mind is if you've been following along with the Dutch conversations, the simple questions, you can pick through those and find things that you might be able to incorporate in a genuine, sincere manner. You don't have to use it in Dutch, you can just use it in English or your native language of choice. But it has to be sincere. It has to be something that would be casually conversed. And as I keep emphasizing, you want to do that to establish a baseline so that you notice any kind of change in the behavior, such as blink rate. Grooming. Grooming is a new card. Blink rate has been referenced in previous videos. Grooming is one I don't remember highlighting previously. And that deals with your hands. Yeah, using your hands to massage the top of your thighs or to massage each, your hands together. The confirming gesture, binding and double cross. And since I've misplaced my copy of Ellipsis and I'm too cheap to buy a new one because I think it would be the second time I've had to replace it. Binding, I could be mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. It is my opinion that binding is the severe attempt of wrapping your legs around each other as much as you can as a pretzel. Because if you look at the amplifying gesture in the element card for binding, it is genital protection and freezing. So you're so wrapped up amongst your legs in a pretzel stance that you can't move unless somebody knocks you over or something knocks you over, a gust of wind, an animal, your lack of balance, your vestibular. So, as I said, I I could be mistaken. I'm willing to bet I am mistaken, but because we're covering lock ankle, which is the lowest extremity that you can cross your limb, your legs. I mean, I guess you can overlap your feet, but you really, but it's your ankles that are the pivot point there, right? So binding, I'm suspecting is when you take your legs and you try to wrap one leg over the other. For example, your left leg over the knee or thigh, and then attempt to take the shin and place it behind the right leg's shin, or vice versa. Again, I could be mistaken. It wouldn't be the first time. So let me know in the comments. And to emphasize this, that is considered a closed body language sign. So keep that in mind. And finally, double cross. Now, binding I could have confused with double cross, or they could essentially be, the same thing. Um, just keep in mind that what these movements represent is an intertwining of your legs in such a manner that you're not receptive, hence both of them being listed as closed, both of them being your legs. The only thing with double cross is, well, let me correct that. Double cross, the contradictory behavior is happiness, and for binding, it's the It's the self hug. So when you take your arms and you wrap them around yourself to soothe yourself or to warm yourself, that would be a conflicting gesture. Um, but otherwise, focus on the legs. What are the legs doing? Are they wrapping themselves around each other as if they're trying to be a pretzel, locking their ankles? So keep these in mind. Good luck. Let me know in the comments your opinion on this. As I said, I don't have the Ellipsis manual currently, and I can't locate it. So I'm taking a stab in the dark with binding in particular, and I might be confusing it with double cross. Good luck.